cross C. Montgomery Burns.
You'll remember my name when we're finished here, Burns.
Get him, Smithers.
Yes, you did just see me unlock the final location, but before we drive there, we need to complete the final mission to get a special unlockable. This is definitely one of the easier missions thanks to the overhead camera view. Without that, it might actually be fairly difficult. We need to destroy 20 statue pieces, and the statues either have 2 or 3 pieces. There's a lot of room to mess up here. They give you a whole ton of time, so as you'll see, I can get stuck by Mr. Burns. Press the car reset button, which starts you at the beginning of the mission, and still make it to the last statue in time. I suppose Mr. Burns is a decent obstacle and everything, but you should only have to try this mission once or twice either way.
I am too smart. S-M-R-T. I mean, S-M-A-R-T. The sticker price is $82,000!
I'll be watching you.
USA! USA!
So we're finally driving as Homer for the final mission, the final road rage, which is appropriate, isn't it? And we're driving in the Homer, or the car built for the average man, or the car built for Homer. Any of those work. The episode that this car appears in is actually my favorite from the entirety of The Simpsons. And this model is a fairly faithful recreation, aside from the second bubble, which is missing. But the reason for that is obvious, I think. It's also the second best car in the game. It's really good at everything, and it's second only to Frank's hover car. So it's really useful, but when one car is so much better than all the rest, why even bother? For what it's worth, I'm glad this car was included at all, and it's a nice bonus for beating all the missions, especially since some of the missions are actually difficult. If only for the load times. The massive, massive load times. Anyway, let's actually start talking about the level, shall we? This level is the most constricted of all of them. The roadways are super tiny, and all of the turns are very, very sharp. As a result, it is very hard to navigate, as I said way back in the mission where we cut logs with Lisa, or rather hit the logs that were already cut with Lisa. In spite of all the roadways being very congested, there are still a lot of people to pick up, and there's way more variety than, say, in the Springfield Dam. There's also this really wide turn with these train tracks down here, which I would watch out for. If you go too far down those train tracks, it'll be really hard to get out and get to your destination on time, and I mean really hard, so only fall down there when you're sure you can get out. This level is also notable for containing the last 2 actually memorable Simpsons locations, Burns Mansion and the Springfield Gorge. And yes, we are going to jump the Springfield Gorge. The jump is not difficult, and you're going to make it no matter what you do with what car. It's basically just there for you to smile at because you can understand the reference. There is something special we're going to do with it later, but for now it's just a regular jump.
Hi, Marge.
Hi, Homer. Be careful, okay?
So let's take the rest of this time in the level to talk about the game as a whole. It's very messy, and that messiness isn't... yeah, like that. It's very messy, and the messiness is right on the surface for anyone to see. You don't have to look for it in the slightest. I mean, I did go out of my way to tell you that the game was exploitable, but if you actually cared about finishing it, you would find that out within the hour. So assuming you play the game the way it's intended, and you don't ever notice that it's exploitable, which is a very difficult feat. But assuming you do that successfully, it's a very serviceable Crazy Taxi clone with some relatively interesting and unique level design. Every level has a distinct feeling and gameplay theme to it, which is very important when your game only has 6 levels in it. There are also 17 different cars to play with, all of which do handle differently even if you can't see their stats right away. You have to see their stats by playing them. And it might be genuinely fun to get used to the handling and quirks of each car, until you figure out that Frank's car is the best one. The amount of fun you have playing with the different cars directly depends on how long it takes you to figure out that Frank's car is the best car. So if you find that out right away like I did as a child, then experimenting with the cars isn't going to be very fun at all. I mean at all. So, excusing that the cars don't really serve any function because there's one that rules them all, what do you have left?
Thank you.
You have 4 very repetitive levels and then 2 not repetitive levels, one of which is the best in the game, but it too will get old after 10 hours of replays.
Fire and brimstone himself.
What I'm getting at here is that the initial fun factor is the only thing this game really has going for itself, aside from 1 or 2 exceptions.
Cemetery, please.
And the incredible grind that consists of the main game was a terrible idea, and I have no idea why they designed it that way. But it's still weird, isn't it? It's still an oddity, which is why I bothered to share it with you at all at 5:30 in the morning.
Game over.
Welcome to the very, very last look at the multiplayer. I let the sound in this time because this is the last time we're going to see the multiplayer, so you might as well get to hear it. Homer's Mr. Plow Truck is basically Barney's plow, but less good. It does move faster, though, for what that's worth, and it is very maneuverable into tight spaces. Moe's sedan is almost exactly like Homer's sedan, as far as I can tell. It's very difficult for me to pinpoint any differences between them. If I sound a little depressed, it's because this game will do that to you, not necessarily because it's awful, but it just does that to you. Just trust me. I don't even know who I am anymore. I guess we should probably watch the ending. I guess we should, I don't know, I guess we should do that.
I've had it with you people complaining about my scary, glowing buses. I haven't seen a display of civil disobedience this contemptible since the summer of love. You want the transit system back? Then take it. But don't think for a moment that you've seen the last of Monty Burns.
Worst video game ever. Worst producer ever. I'll register my disgust on the internet. You hurry up, I'm going to be late. I think you could have avoided that. I'm not going to dignify that with a comment. Worst producer ever. I'll register my disgust on the internet. Really must learn how to drive. Worst designer ever. Worst programmer ever. Worst artist ever. Every second my store is closed has a negative impact on society. I'm not going to dignify that with a comment. Really must learn how to drive. Warp speed. Can you hurry up? I'm going to be late. Worst producer ever. spilled my squishy. I think you could have avoided that